All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started now. I actually have a lot to cover today before I give you guys your class activity, so need to start on time. For those who came in late, I did put the link for the attendance sheet in the chat, and I will also put the link in there again at the end of the class. All right, so we are on week 10. So you guys got to do your first written quiz. I will have everything graded by, should have everything graded by tomorrow. It takes me a little while to get through these because I have to read so much and put in a lot of comments. So thank you for being patient with that. This week we'll be going over research, process, and methods, managing data and using graphics, and I'm going to do a little mini lecture on reporting tools. All this information you'll be using for your analytical report. So these slides are pretty important. So we're going to start with research process and methods here. And some of you guys might already know this stuff. I'm not sure what level you're at if you've written research papers in the past. So learning outcomes, identify the characteristics of a report and the various classifications of business reports. Use appropriate printed, electronic, and primary sources of information. Demonstrate appropriate methods of collecting, organizing, and referencing information. You need to make sure you always reference your sources. Anytime you put a statistic, a stat, anything with a number or percentage, you have to have a source for that. Explain techniques for the logical analysis and interpretation of data. So the different types of reports are, we have formal, which is logically organized and objective. Style of writing eliminates elements like personal pronouns. So very formal, think biotech, science, some of your classes here in school. Informal is more written in natural or personal language. So depending on what industry you're working for, you might write more informal. And short or long is based on the length, closely related to formal, informal reports. So informational carries objective information from one area of an organization to another. I know in the past when I used to help write reports, I may not know all the information, but since I was on the marketing end, I would come up with a template, I would come up with the creative part, the visuals, the graphics, the charts, and I would work with the different departments to gather all that information so that I can make the visuals for the report. So even though I didn't know all the fine details, I was highly involved in reports. One time I worked on a report that was like 89 pages, and the company had to do it in like a week. It was crazy. We worked night and day on this report. Really thick for a contractor, security United States contractor, so it had to be very specific, very detailed. Analytical presents suggested solutions to problems. Vertical, upward or downward directed. Lateral, travels between units on the same organizational level. Other types of reports can be internal, so it travels within an organization. Production or sales report, for those of you that are involved in production and sales meetings. I worked at a company where every week we would have a meeting and we would all have to present a PowerPoint presentation. All of us directors of each department would have to have a report and a PowerPoint presentation delivered to the CEO, same time, same day, every day, once a week. It's a lot of work, actually. External, prepared for distribution outside of an organization. Periodic, issued on regular scheduled dates. Functional, serves a specified purpose within a company. So some of the methods for gathering research. Primary is number one. Data collected for the first time for a specific purpose. Observational studies. Researcher observes and statistically analyzes phenomena to establish new principles or discoveries. Experimental research. Study of two samples within the same components before a variable is added to one of the samples. Secondary research. So you'll be doing both of these, primary and secondary. Also, if you look on Canvas under this week's resources, there's some additional links to give you guys some more understanding of primary and secondary research. So secondary research provides information that has already been reported by others, easily accessible through electronic databases and bibliographic indexes. So think the library resources here because it's already been reported. Helps managers in determining the boundaries of knowledge gathered through printed sources and electronic tools. So for primary research, gathering brand new data, surveys are the most common form of primary data. Select a data collection method. Online surveys. So I always recommend using SurveyMonkey. I'll even put that in the chat. This is a great free survey resource. You can get a paid version too, but the free is always great. You can create a survey based on your questions, and it'll either send it out to a database that you upload to the system, or you can just create a link, email that link to people, post that link on Facebook, Instagram, wherever your survey audience is. Telephone surveys, really not many people do that anymore. But I mean, sometimes you'll still get the telephone survey. Usually it's that automated message, right, that we all just ignore and hang up on. Personal interviews. So if you know people and you're questioning people, I know with my running coaching, I'll do personal interviews. I'll ask people that I meet while I'm networking with them in person, and I'll have like a set of questions that I ask them about their training, you know, their nutrition, their goals. Email polling. Polling is a great feature in Facebook too. If you're in a Facebook group, I use this tool all the time in Facebook groups. Again, for my running company, we have a group of like 900 people. So why not do some primary research, right? I'll create a poll. Hey, it's something as simple as we had an event, a virtual challenge in September, and there was 2 graphic designs that we had for the logo for the t-shirts, and I couldn't decide which one I liked. So I created a poll. You know, this is my audience, 900 people in the Facebook group, and I created the poll and I had a vote. Which design do you guys like best, A or B? And I had them vote, and based on that vote, that was the design I created for the t-shirts. Primary research. Develop an effective survey instrument. Test the instrument by asking others to complete and critique the questionnaire. So collecting secondary data. Avoid collecting a large amount of information. You can just get lost in the world of the library. Amazing resource. Evaluate the relevance of references by reading each article's title and abstract. Be careful of your online sources. You know, avoid the fake news. Make sure you use reputable online sources. Determines appropriateness to the topic. Take notes using various methods, direct quotation, or paraphrase, right? We want to make sure we don't have any plagiarism issues later on in your report. Quantitative research. Large sample sizes. Closed-end questions, statistically representative of larger populations. So an example would be a survey with multiple choice and true or false questions. So like using the SurveyMonkey. That's quantitative research. Then we have qualitative research. Smaller sample sizes, open-ended questions, not statistically representative of a larger population. An example would be a focus group of 8 participants. I was involved in a focus group a long time ago. I think I got paid like $100. Every once in a while I'll get asked to be a part of a focus group. I don't know if you guys have ever done that before, but it's kind of cool. You just give your opinion, they buy you lunch, they give you a check right then and there. It's pretty awesome. Here's another link for additional resources for primary and secondary. Again, they are on Canvas as well. While you're writing your analytical report and you still kind of have issues of this, please contact the Writing Center. They are professionals at writing business reports and research papers. They will help you, and they are free. So please take advantage of them. If you don't know how to reference something, if you don't know how to do a works cited, they will help you out with everything, okay? Take advantage of them. You can email them your paper. They'll email it back to you with corrections. You can do Zoom conferences with them. Really great people to work with. Okay, so now we're going to move on to managing data and using graphics. Graphics are fun. They make it visually appealing, make it easier to read. So learning outcomes, communicate quantitative information effectively, apply principles of effectiveness and ethical responsibilities in the construction of graphic aids, select and design appropriate and meaningful graphics, integrate graphics within documents. Effective use of graphics. Business is constantly communicating numbers, right? It's all about those metrics. That's what the companies want to see. They want to see the revenue. They want to see the production numbers. How can you guys grow? How can you be more efficient? How can you be faster? Even with marketing, social media, it's all about the numbers and the metrics. And that's what your boss wants to see. And that's what your boss's boss wants to see. So it's all about communicating numbers and communicating trends, whether your trends are going up or your trends are going down. Numbers are better understood in visual representation. So think bar graphs, pie charts, tables. All types of illustration used in written and spoken reports. Questions that determine the aptness and effectiveness of graphic elements. Is a graphic needed to clarify, reinforce, or emphasize a particular idea? Usually there's a yes. Does a graphic presentation contribute to the overall understanding of the data? Usually yes. So here's kind of some examples. Here's some infographics here. Here's a bar graph, a pie chart. And the great thing is, guys, you don't have to be a graphic designer to create these. There's so many free tools and apps out there. I'll get to that a little later, where you can create this super easily. And you'll look like a professional graphic designer. So some considerations when using graphics. Is a graphic easily understood? For example, on a chart like this, a bar graph, you need to make sure that everything is labeled properly, your x-axis and your y-axis, so that you can easily understand it. You make sure there's a title. All those little things need to be filled out. Avoid chart junk. Develop consistent design for graphics. So if it comes to branding in your company's, maybe your presentation throughout the whole thing, you don't want all these different colors all over the place. You want to make sure you stick with the same color scheme. Write meaningful titles that reinforce the point being made. Is a graphic honest? For presentations, is a graphic used in the presentation visible to the entire audience? So for example, see how I put 4 graphics on this one screen here? It's kind of hard to read, right? If I was really presenting to a group, I would probably have I would definitely have one graphic per screen. And for PowerPoint presentations that are wider, I would use more of this type of presentation, and it'll take up the whole slide so that people like in the back row or people who can't see as well, they can actually see it. The worst thing you want is like super small font when you're doing a presentation and no one could read what you're doing. So choosing the appropriate graphic to fit your objective. This is a great slide here. These slides have been uploaded to Canvas already. There's a link so that you can download these and you can take a closer look. Tables, bar charts, line charts, pie charts, Gantt charts. This is for project managers. Any project managers out there? Maps. Flow charts. You guys might want to use a map for your analytical report depending on where your school is, right? Flow charts and photographs. And here's the objectives to the right of it, of what they're used for. So this slide will help you out when determining which kind of graphic to use for your report. Sometimes you might have certain supervisors, bosses, that want certain type of charts. I know I had a boss who he only wanted bar and line charts. That's all he wanted. He didn't like any of the rest of them. So that's why we made them. Similar to this, just like a bar chart. So tables and bar charts. Tables present data in columns and rows. Aids in clarifying large quantities of data within a small space. I suggest using Excel or Word to create these. They're super easy to make. Bar charts, graphic used to compare quantities. Grouped, compare more than one quantity at each point along the X and Y axis, otherwise known as clustered bar chart. So again, Word, Excel, you can create these very easily, and in PowerPoint too. So if you're not very familiar with Office, Microsoft Office, I highly recommend you guys maybe take some classes on that. Or you can do some free tutorials on Microsoft.com and kind of teach yourself. But I know they also have courses here on campus. And you can actually get a certificate too for Microsoft Office. So for you guys going like in administration, project management, business, that might be a certificate you'd be interested in getting. Are we able to create these graphics in Google Docs? I'm not sure exactly. I have a feeling the answer is yes. I feel like I've done it in Sheets and then exported it, but you'll want to do a Google search and confirm that. Unless you have a classmate here who can answer that question in the chat. are you able to create these type of graphics in Google Docs. Segmented bar chart and pictographs. So segmented shows how different facts contribute to a total figure, otherwise known as subdivided stacked bar or 100% bar chart. And pictographs use pictures or symbols to illustrate objects, concepts, or numerical relationships. So that's what a pictograph looks like. Line charts, I've used these a lot. Depict changes in quantitative data over time and illustrates trends. Remember I used that word before, trends. So are your numbers trending up, or are your numbers trending down? Are your numbers trending the same? Your boss will want to know that. Design guidelines. Use the vertical axis for amount and the horizontal axis for time. Begin the vertical axis at 0, all right? Pie charts show subdivisions of a whole. So, you know, just like eating a pie, we all learned about pie charts when we were younger, right? Design guidelines. Position the slice to be emphasized at the 12 o'clock position. Label each slice and include information about quantitative size. So here's an example here of what that looks like. And if you see on this pie chart, it has a source underneath. So where did this person get this secondary research from, right? They got it right here from this source. Flowcharts, step-by-step diagram of a procedure or a graphic depiction of a system or organization. Resolve a variety of problems to support written analysis. Minimize the chance of errors. So this is what a flow chart looks like. It's great for operations, project management, when you're creating standard operating procedures for your company. Anyone had to make standard operating procedures, otherwise known as SOPs? Me, I had to create a lot. Organizational charts, otherwise known as org charts. Displays a hierarchy of an organization, functional departments, reporting structure. So who do you report to? Maybe you have the CMO up here, Chief Marketing Officer. Underneath that person you have 4 marketing managers. Underneath those people you have marketing specialists, marketing coordinators, marketing assistants, graphic designers, videographers, etc. That would be an organizational chart. Including graphics in text, such as a report. You'll be using graphics in your analytical report project in this class. Graphics are embedded within the text material. Avoid restating what the graphic obviously depicts when interpreting and analyzing the graphic. Strive for natural transition from the discussion of the graphic to the next point. See example on the next slide. So I have an example on the next slide here. Again, if this is something that you struggle with as you start writing your report, please visit the Writing Center and they'll help you. And they'll help you make sure that you're not restating the obvious and that you can transition from graphic to the next point. And then here's an example here of Stanford University. You have your text, you have your bar graph here, it's all labeled correctly, and then you have what the figure name is and the sources. You always want to name your figures or graphics. In Word, there's a feature that automatically does this called Figures. And here are some links for additional resources to help you guys out on graphics. Okay, so now for some reporting tools. Like I said, you don't need to be a graphic designer to do any of these. Here are some top 3 here. So I mentioned Microsoft already. Word, PowerPoint, Excel. Google, okay, so Google Drive is in this sheet. I haven't used it personally for anything, but supposedly here. And it looks like Marco says you can create these in Google Drive as well. Cool. And then I don't know if you guys have heard of Prezi. They make really cool presentations, online presentations. There's free apps for the software. I've used the Prezi before. Additional reporting tools. Here are some cool ones here. You can also Google some. I actually use Canva, and SP stands for Spark, which is an Adobe product. I use Canva and Spark for all of my stuff, all of my presentations. I also use InDesign just because I have a graphic design background. InDesign is also part of the Adobe Creative Suite. And that's just me because I have a graphic design background. But I tell everyone to use Canva. I have all my students use Canva. Super easy, user friendly. How many of you guys have used Canva or are familiar with it? Yes, no? Put it in the chat. Yes, no? Yes, no? Okay. Yes and no? All right, so our class activity here is gonna use Canva. So I'm gonna have you guys mess with Canva here for a little bit. So it's creative class activity today, no writing. Aren't you guys glad? Changing things up a little bit. Okay, so first step is I want you guys to all create a free Canva account on canva.com. So looks like this. Do you guys see that on my screen?
All I see are PowerPoint slides. I don't see.
Okay, let me stop this. There we go. You guys see it now?
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Okay, so this is Canva. I have the paid version here, but the free version works fine for what we're doing here. So you have your home, templates, features, learn, all your designs shared with you, brand kit. And again, some of these features are extra for me because I have paid account. I actually have folders for all of my clients. And you make really cool graphics. I use it pretty much for social media graphics, right? So let's see if I will do an example here. So I have a template that I reuse over and over for certain clients. Make new templates. You can upload your own images and graphics and logos, or you could use the stock images that are provided. So here's just, I created an Instagram post, and I'll show you some other things too. But you can upload your own images, videos, audio. So I have a whole set of images in here. You can use their templates. So many templates to choose from. I mean, you can create anything in here. So say I have a template. I want to change the photo around. You can change the type. You can change the color. And that was based on a template I just grabbed. So it's super easy. It comes loaded with a ton of fonts, and they give you additional fonts to play around with. Move things around. That's a paid feature. Elements, if you want to make charts, graphics, you can make different things. For business type stuff, they have infographics. Let's see if I can find it. They have pre-made infographics, pre-made charts for you if you want to spend time and create kind of your own stuff. And then you just add text on top of it, type of thing. So a lot of fun, cool stuff in here. So what I'm going to have you guys do is I have a link in the slides here. First, I'm going to have you do a quick little design school tutorial. Here's the link in the chat. It'll only take you a few minutes. So So go to Design School, Tutorials, Presenting with Canva. So under Learn, you have Design Schools to the right. Oh, I have to share my other screen. Hold on. Learn, Design School, Tutorials, or you can use the link I just gave you. Then you go under Presenting with Canva. After you go to Presenting with Canva, you clicked on Designing a Presentation. And I'm just going to have you guys go through this tutorial here. And then please type in the chat when you're finished. Okay, I'm going to move on to the next activity part. So you guys went through the tutorial, kind of seeing how Canvas works now, or Canva, sorry. It's a little difficult, Canva and Canvas. So now I'm going to have you go through an actual module of a course. And this is for the Presentations to Impress course. So under Design School, where you guys were at, you're going to go over courses instead of tutorials and go to Presentations to Impress. You're not going to go through all these, the whole entire course, like that's kind of a big deal. But after you go through the first 4 modules, which are about a minute to a minute and a half each, finish with the activity 4 module and then you're done. So it's just the first 4 modules with the activity. And I'll put a link in the chat for that. And I want to see what you guys come up with. So those that finish early are going to be sharing. Does that make sense with everyone? Any questions on that? Okay. Stop. Okay, so it looks like majority of you guys are done here. We only have a couple minutes left to class. Whoa! Sorry about that. It's the puppy. Hey, quiet. Crazy dogs. Hey, get down. Get down. All right, so
that was so loud. It was kind of funny.
that was like right in my ear too. Sorry, guys. I think they've done pretty good so far this semester. Okay, so now I have extra credit for you guys. Who likes extra credit? Okay, so you guys have already started doing this course here. 1 through 4 lessons already and did 1 activity. So if you complete this whole course in Canva, Presentations to Impress, which is a total of 12 lessons and 6 activities, I'll give you guys 10 extra credit points. So that's kind of like if you did bad on a quiz or missed a quiz. Okay, so I'll create an extra credit in Canvas, and you guys just have to create a Word doc with your activities in there and a screenshot of completion, because when you get to the end, it should give you a thing you can screenshot, like you went through all the lessons. So that's your extra credit. And then just finishing up here, week 9 assignments. So you have your check-in 7, which a lot of you guys already did. Quiz 7, which is on persuasive messages. That's due by tomorrow at midnight. Next week will be quiz 8, what we went over today, managing data and using graphics. So that's due November 6th. And then the second part of your analytical project is the works cited, and that will be due November 13th. Any questions on anything? Feel free to unmute yourself. Type in the chat. Yes.